Good morning. Hello, 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 everyone. I wanted to do a mini series about the three biggest obstacles to success the female entrepreneurs face. And today we are going to talk just about the first one. And these three obstacles are something that you're not even aware of. They are not the usual suspects. They are not what you think. So when you think about obstacles to success, you're probably thinking about, oh, I don't have the money to invest in my business. I don't have connections to huge influencers, or I don't have the time to take on one more project or to develop relationships, or I don't have the resources. This is what I hear all the time. And when I started my business, this is exactly what I thought. I thought I can't be successful or I can't be too successful because I don't have the money to invest in a mastermind or I don't have connection with powerful people, with influential people. And so I'm destined until that happens to just stay small. And after being in business for almost 2 decades, I can tell you that these are not the real obstacles to success because that's the job of an entrepreneur. Like, no one, I don't know anyone, as I said, I've been in business for 2 decades and I have worked with, mentor, coached hundreds of entrepreneurs at this point. And I can guarantee you that no one has the money, the connection, the resources to do what they want. But here's the thing, they found them. The job of an entrepreneur is to find the resources. The job of an entrepreneur is to say, I don't have money to invest in a virtual assistant, in a program, in whatever it is, right? Because there are so many things you could invest in when you have a business. But the point is that as an entrepreneur, you know where you need to invest, whether it's social media, whether it is a VA, team, coaching, whatever. And an entrepreneur is, I don't have the money yet, and I'm gonna find a way to make it happen. What else can I sell? How can I package? Can I make like a special offer? Who do I need to speak to? Same for resources, same for connections. Like if you don't have the connections now, okay, an entrepreneur is like, I don't know any influential people right now, but I can go to networking events. I can join a mastermind. I can put myself in the rooms where those people are, which often, if starting out, it just means going back to finding the money to put yourself in those rooms, because I can guarantee you the people that have access to influential people, it's not luck, it's cash. When you had the money to put yourself in powerful rooms because those big influencers, they're hanging out with other people that have such big audiences, and it's expensive to get access to them, and that's why masterminds are so popular, because they give you access to people that you wouldn't normally get access to. But that's the point. Like, the most people, most entrepreneurs, that you start a business because you want to spend more time with your kids and you want more financial freedom, whatever that means, right? And you think, oh, but I don't have the money, but I don't have the time, but I don't have the connections. Well, you make them. The job of an entrepreneur is literally to make the money, to find a way to make the money, to find a way to make the connections, to find a way to say, okay, what can I offer? I can't afford to put myself in the room, but what can I offer to these people and make them such a great deal? And there are so many ways to do that, like push up in a summit, or I can give you some ideas. Like when you join my programs, I can give you some ideas on how to connect to the big names without spending a huge fortune. But that's the point. That's the point. It's about, as an entrepreneur, it is your job to find out. So these are not obstacles. Lack of money, lack of resources, lack of connections, they are not obstacles. They are just part of the process. They are part of the job description. And there's a bigger reason. And if you are in a position where you can't find a solution to find the money and the time and the resources and the connections and whatever you need, then what's underneath that? And it's what's underneath that is the real obstacle to success. So I'll cover the other two in future lives, but right now, what is really stopping you from finding those resources that you need from growing your business is the fear of success, or better, the negative consequences of success. People talk about the fear of failure all the time, but but that's not as powerful as the fear of success. Because when I speak to women, and I spoken to hundreds, I coached hundreds, it really is the negative consequences of their goals coming true. I know it sounds crazy because it would be like, wait, but once I reach my goal, once I make like 20K months and financial freedom, I'm working from Bali, I'm gonna be so happy, right? Yeah. But as you are working towards those goals, what is going through your mind? And when I ask my clients this, they are like, well, what if I actually make it big and people don't like me anymore? Because we all have stories of, um, we all know rich people, successful people that our family doesn't like, right? Or these ideas that rich people are evil somehow. Or my clients often say, like, okay, when I am successful, what if I can handle it? What if I won't be able to spend enough time with my children? What if I make it and then I say something stupid and I get cancelled? What if people find out that I am a fraud? And so when you actually ask yourself, what are you afraid would happen when you reach your goal? So, and at the time, these are things that are so subconscious. And again, because it sounds so crazy to be afraid of success, that your brain doesn't even understand or doesn't often give you the answer immediately unless you work with a coach. For example, I was working with an amazing woman, her name was Kat, and she wanted her business featured in BuzzFeed. And she had tried everything, literally all the strategies. She even went as far as to hire a copywriter that specialized in getting businesses into BuzzFeed. And months went by, she spent, and nothing happened. She spent all this money and tried all these strategies for months, and nothing happened. And so she came to me. And so I do have a background in copywriting, and I have been featured, or when I worked as a copywriter and a freelancer, I got my clients featured in publications, so I know the strategies. But since Kat had already had some strategies, and she told me she tried everything, I knew that it was deeper than that. And there were several things going on when I started actually digging deep. And I realized that basically Kat was pitching what she was doing instead of actually like she has these amazing stories of successful influencers that had user products and then massive results. And she was not featuring that anywhere. And that's the story that publication like BuzzFeed they want to have. It's not about the what you do. It's not about, oh, I am a copywriter, I am a web designer, or whatever it is that you do. But they want the success story. They want the transformation, right? They want to know the impact that your product has and what's unique about it. And Kat was not talking about it. And so again, we started digging deeper and what was under death. And it turns out that her family didn't even know she started a business because her family was quite traditional. No one in her family was an entrepreneur. And they had always encouraged her, to go to school and get a job. And she was afraid that if she were to come out as an entrepreneur, that her family wouldn't like her, that there would be problems at home. And guess what happens when you're featured in a publication like BuzzFeed? You actually get known. Like your friends will find out, your family will find out. Right? Because it's big, right? And so consciously, Kat was doing all the right things that she was told to do, including hire a copywriter specialized in writing for BuzzFeed. And I'm actually shocked that the person didn't pick up the real story they would actually get in BuzzFeed, but that's another issue. But subconsciously, I mean, she was doing all the thing, but apart from the one that would actually work, because subconsciously she had a fear of success. She had a fear of what would happen once the dream came true. And also she also has some belief around, if I make so much money, I'm not gonna be able to handle it. And so these two things combined, they sabotaged her. They stopped her from actually implementing the strategy, because it's not enough to hire a copywriter. You also need to have a strong message. You need to have clarity. But most importantly, you need to have a strong mindset for success. And you need to be okay with the consequences of success, because success is like everything in life is both good and bad. There's positive and negative signs. So there is nothing that is only ever good or bad, right? Even when you think about your relationship with your significant other or with your best friend, yeah, most of the time it's amazing. But then there are some crappy parts, and you think about your dream job, and there are some, and most of the time it's amazing, but there are some crappy parts, right? So nothing is either good or bad. And when you're successful, you have so many perks like financial freedom, time freedom, and like the kind of lifestyle that you want to live is different for everyone. But there are also negative consequences. Like if you haven't told your family that you have a business, then for them to find out, surprise, when you're in BuzzFeed, well, your brain is not going to let you do that. You know what I mean? Subconsciously, you are going to stop yourself and you're going to sabotage yourself from doing what needs to be done. And so we worked in slowly. So what we worked on rewriting the belief in her mind that her family, because she was so convinced that her family would be so opposed to it. So we started rewriting the belief in her mind, but also she started taking practical actions and started introducing the concept of entrepreneurship to her family and what was important to her, to start getting them on board and getting used to the fact that actually this is what I want to do. And when she did this work, when she came out of family, that's when she got featured in BuzzFeed a dozen times. Like I kid you not. Like after being ignored for months, she was featured like a dozen times because that block was removed. Because now she was comfortable with people knowing what she was doing. I can also tell you another story from my own life, which you may have heard 100 times, but it's still some of you may not have heard it, or you may learn something, or you may learn differently. But when I was a child, I was bullied at school for being too smart. And because I always said, because I love studying and I was really good at it, and I always had the right answer, and I was so proud of that. But I quickly learned that the other children did not like that. And so as long as I kept, being smart and teacher's pet and having the right answers, raising my hands, I would not have any friends. I was actually bullied for that. And so as a 7, 8-year-old, my brain, I was like too young to understand what was going on, right? And so my brain made up a story that if I am successful, then I am not loved. And so of course, I survived childhood and school, and years went on, but the belief was implanted there that if I am successful, I am not loved. And so years and years later, I started my business, and I was having some success. I was making enough to replace a full-time job, and I was making enough, as much as my dad was making. I was making as much as my partner was making, and I was literally doing all the things to grow my business, like webinars and CEOs and blogging and social media and email marketing. Actually, you know what it is like. That every guru has their own system, and you feel like if you don't do all the things, your business is going to fall apart. And so I was like drowning, doing all the things. And it wasn't until I had a session with a coach. It was a free session. She gave me like a sample session before working with her, that I realized that I was terrified that if I made, because I told you I was making as much money as my boyfriend and my dad, and I was terrified that if I made more money than them, they wouldn't like me anymore, because your brain uses your past to predict your future. And so my experience of being bullied, that's what I call the origin story. At that time, I learned about the negative consequences of being successful. And that if I'm successful, I am going to lose the people I love, or I'm going to be left alone, I'm going to be abandoned, I'm going to be rejected. And so years later, that origin story started playing out again. And mom was like, "What I mean, Georgia, you can be successful as you are right now, or replace your income because you are making as much money as the people you love. But you can't be more successful than them. If you are more successful than them, something bad is going to happen and you're going to lose them." And again, this has nothing to do with like my partner, that he never mentioned anything like that. My family never mentioned anything like that. But again, it's something that came from that origin story because your brain uses your past to predict your future. And so in the present, you are in a situation that scarred you in the past or that's similar to something that went bad in the past. Your brain starts triggering the alarm system and pulling the stop. So doing everything that it can to get you to stop and to get you where you are now, because the brain wants to keep you safe. And where you are right now is safe. And for me, I knew I'm not making as much money as I could make, but it's safe here. But if I grow, is it safe there? Am I going to lose the people I love? And so this is actually a very common belief in women, because most women have been raised with the idea that, we, like, have you ever been told, for example, that men don't like successful women? That men don't like when you beat them at a game or something. That if you are too smart or too clever, you won't find a husband. And so we are sort of like, or like, for example, maybe you saw your mom giving up her career or taking on a part-time job so she could raise the family, but your dad was still allowed to work full-time. So all these small things like this, it starts making us, it creates all these stories about what it means to be a good woman, what it means to be successful, and the negative consequences of success. And so I want you to ask yourself, if you are working so hard and you are doing all the strategies and nothing is working, what are you afraid will happen if you became successful? What are you afraid will happen if you reached your goal? Because that is the thing, that is the very thing that is stopping you from finding the money, the time, the connection, the resources, whatever it is that you need to grow your business. And you need to work on that belief so that you can go to your next level. Because once I started doing that work to heal those beliefs, for me, once it was not easy to heal the story that I can't be successful in a lot. But once I did it, my income skyrocketed. I doubled my income in like 3 months. I honestly didn't think that was possible for me, and yet it did happen. Just because I actually I identified what was really there and broke through it. And I did it with the help of a coach, because if that coach had told me in a different setting, just in a conversation, like I'm having with you now, Georgia, you're afraid that if you're successful, your partner will leave you, I would have thought she was crazy. But because she gave me a session and she asked me the right questions, that fear that just came up for me, like the dots connected just by her holding the space and asking the right questions for me. And so that's why it is so powerful to actually work with someone, because I can guarantee you the thing that is currently stopping you from getting everything to say you want. If I were to say to you right now what it is, and of course I don't know you, I don't know the situation, but if you were to have a conversation, and I would be telling you this is stopping you, you would be telling me that it's crazy. The answer is inside you, and it must come from you. A coach just facilitates that and guides you through the process, so you don't spend months and months, if not years, in denial, and can start identify and work on the right thing. And how do you work on that? Once you identify what I call the horror story, right, the origin story, you can start rewriting the story and take practical steps. Because again, I didn't just do this work in my head. Like for example, with Kat, when she told me that the family didn't know, I didn't just say, yeah, okay, let's do affirmation that your family knows and the family is on board. affirmations, I'm not a huge fan of affirmations. I'm not a fan of visualizations. I'm not a lot of fan of a lot of spiritual stuff, to be honest, because it doesn't work. I see people getting stuck in affirmation and visualization and all those stuff for like years and years and years, thinking that they are getting ahead because their master is so great, but they still don't get the results they want. And what is really gonna get you the results you want is taking action, is putting the mindset work in practice. Because once you identify what the story is, whether I can't be successful and loved, or my family will reject me if they know, or I can't have success, whatever it is, you first rewrite the story and you think, okay, what story would I like to be true? But then you actually have to act on the story. Like with Kat, we started putting a plan together. She wasn't comfortable coming out as entrepreneur from day one. And so we put a plan together in place so that she could start again introducing the topic and how to come out in a way that was more comfortable for her. But she still did it. Like for me, I had to, when I realized what my fear was, that if I was successful, I was not loved. The next step was actually to look at my shadow, to look at what I was doing, and a lot of it was busy work. I thought consciously that I was doing all the right things to grow, but actually subconsciously I was stuck in busy work so that I wouldn't reach my goal and face the consequences of being abandoned. And so for me, it was literally going into my shadow, into my calendar, and looking at what stuff does need to be done. What is my goal? What is the fastest way to get there, and the most enjoyable way? But also, like, of all the things that I was doing, what was actually working? What would actually help me reach my goal? And I had to actually get really clear and ditch everything else and just focus on the one or two things. And when I did that, it was super scary. I was super uncomfortable because there was this voice in my head telling me all the time, if you do this, you're going to be rejected and you're going to be abandoned. But I still did it, and I was not abandoned. When my income doubled, my partner was still there, my family was still there, my friends were still there, and they were all so happy for me. So that's what I'm saying. Like the mindset work is the first step, but it needs to be put in practice. Beware, be very careful of people that tell you that visualizations, affirmations, and meditations are enough. They are not enough. If you were enough, everyone would smash their goals. You actually, the only way to deprogram your mind is actually to put in practice the story that you have, because your brain has years and decades of practicing the failure story, or practicing the playing small story, because you are practicing that every single day. If you are not doing something, if you are not going live because you're afraid of going live, if you whatever it is that you're doing, like, so if you have a history of not doing things because you're scared of whatever, you have a history of playing small. So you have a history already of, yeah, you have a history of playing small, and so your brain needs to create a new history of you being bold, of you being courageous, of you actually taking actions towards your dreams instead of action that take you farther away from your goals. You know what I mean? And the only way to do that is to just face the fear, to put the story in practice and create a new habit. And it's not, I mean, it's simple, but it's not easy, which is why in my program, the Leadership Advantage, we do this work, I help you reprogram your mind. But also there is like, and I had accountable every week. There are check-ins to see how you're doing, because I am going to challenge you every step of the way to put that mindset work in practice. Because if you don't, if you hire a coach and the mindset work stays here in your head but not in practice, you are just throwing money down the drain. You actually need to put that work in practice and create a new story in practice, in the real world, not in your head. Get out of your head. You need that story in practice in the real world. And so in the leadership advantage, you have this safe space, this safe container, but you're doing this work with other women that have their own fields of success, and we're all reprogramming our mindsets together. And this is like, so today, so if you want to join that, at the moment it's, we are started in January. and it will, and for an early bird price, so just £500 for 3 months, which is insane. And the guarantee is even more insane, because if in 3 months you don't reach your goal, I keep working for free until you do. So it is a super amazing, crazy deal. You'll be crazy to sit on to this, because you get this amount of coaching for that price, okay, in just an early bird. So it won't last forever. So if you are interested, put leadership in the comments, and I get you in. And yeah, because again, if you, this is like, this is the work, guys. This is the work. If you tell yourself, like, it's not money, it's not connections, it's not time, it really is what is underneath that, what is stopping you from getting the resources you need to reach your goal. And that's going to be a game changer for you, but it's only part one. It's only the first. There are two more obstacles. Even after your mindset is rewired, there are still two more obstacles to work through, because we all know people that so many people come on discovery calls with me and they tell me that their mindset is amazing and it's great. And I'm like, and my question, and my reply is always, okay, then if your mindset is so amazing, why don't you have the results you want? And so if you want the answer to that question, tune in a few days, because I'm going to share with you what the second biggest obstacles to success is. If you really think that you have a great mindset, and you know what you're scared of, and you're doing the work, the practical work to rewire that, and you still don't have results, then come to my next live, and I'll share with you exactly what is going on in the beautiful brain of yours. Okay, so thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon. Bye.